You know what's wild? Meghan Markle's downfall in Hollywood didn't happen overnight. Nope, it was a slow burn. So sneaky that by the time people realized what was happening, the damage was already done. When she first landed back in California, she was treated like a golden ticket. I mean, Hollywood thrives on novelty and prestige. And here comes Meghan, the actress turned duchess, carrying royal sparkle in a place obsessed with glitter. Invitations poured in, photographers tripped over themselves for photo ops, and publicists whispered about her being the next big power player. For a second, it looked like she had cracked the code that nobody else could. But here's the truth people didn't see. The glitz was just surface. Behind those flashing bulbs, the foundation was already cracking. Meghan wasn't nurturing relationships. She was using them like props. People who could have been her allies started feeling like they were nothing more than stepping stones. And in Hollywood, let me tell you, that kind of behavior doesn't go unnoticed for long. The tipping point wasn't some one explosive interview or a giant scandal. Nope. It was the little things, the accumulation of choices that pushed her network away. Hollywood might look like a big playground of endless opportunities, but in reality, it's a tight-knit club built on trust, loyalty, and discretion. And once people start questioning your loyalty, oh honey, doors close. First quietly, then suddenly, they slam shut. That's exactly what happened with Meghan. Insiders started noticing that her networking felt transactional, like she was collecting names, not friendships. And whispers grew louder. Remember Jessica Mulroney? Remember Millie McIntosh? Stories of friendships cut off cold reinforced the image of someone who used people until she didn't need them anymore. And then came the Oprah interview. Meghan may have thought it was her bold, independent move, but Hollywood didn't see it that way. See, the elites weren't thinking about the British royal family at all. They were thinking about themselves. If Meghan could spill the darkest secrets of a 1,000-year-old monarchy on live TV, what would stop her from doing the same to them? Hollywood runs on image control, and nothing terrifies insiders more than betrayal. That fear spread like wildfire. One by one, people who had once hugged her tight began backing away. Invitations dried up. PR teams started warning their A-list clients, don't get too close, don't even be seen in photos. This wasn't about malice. It wasn't some giant conspiracy to cancel Meghan. No, this was survival. Nobody in Hollywood wanted to risk their own brand by standing next to someone suddenly dripping with drama. The irony is almost delicious. Meghan once pictured herself as the bridge between royalty and Hollywood. Glamorous, powerful, the connector who opened doors for everyone. But instead, she became the cautionary tale, a whispered example of what happens when you confuse access with influence. And the narrative flipped fast. One year, magazines were fawning over Hollywood's new power couple. Fast forward a few years, and those same outlets were running pieces about Meghan being blacklisted, snubbed, iced out. Industry veterans even started using her as a literal case study. This is how you don't handle fame. This is how you burn through every advantage handed to you. And the stories kept piling up. The infamous Victoria Beckham fallout. Meghan accused Victoria of leaking private stories to the press. A woman with a global fashion empire and deep royal ties accused of petty betrayal. It came across as paranoid, small, and ungrateful. That accusation shoved the Beckhams firmly into William and Kate's camp, and they've stayed there ever since. The same pattern repeated with George and Amal Clooney. They'd been invited to the royal wedding, but there was never a real friendship there. Hollywood smelled the superficiality, and nothing repels faster than inauthentic connections. It wasn't just the social side. Business followed the same ugly path. Remember the Netflix deal? An $87 million groundbreaking partnership. On paper, it was huge. But in those shiny boardrooms, the whispers were brutal. Her projects underperformed, her shows fizzled after launch week, and she was reportedly labeled the most high-maintenance, low-yield talent executives had ever worked with. Ouch. And instead of owning up to poor execution, Meghan allegedly leaned into conspiracy theories. She claimed her projects were being sabotaged by Hollywood forces. One example, she insisted Taylor Swift's engagement announcement with Travis Kelce was deliberately timed to overshadow her lifestyle series launch. Absurd, right? To most people, it sounded delusional. But Meghan repeated these theories so often that even her inner circle started worrying. When people believe you see enemies in every shadow, collaboration becomes impossible. And then came Dolly Parton's rejection. This was brutal because Dolly is known for kindness, generosity, and supporting women. If Dolly Parton doesn't want to work with you, that's the loudest rejection possible. Meghan reportedly spun it into yet another Kate Middleton conspiracy, but Hollywood didn't buy it. They saw Meghan dragging Dolly into her paranoia, and it made her look radioactive. From there, it was game over. By now, Meghan has become a walking cautionary tale. At events, celebrities literally shift their bodies to avoid being photographed with her. Guest lists are quietly reshuffled if her name pops up. And paparazzi photos tell the story best. She looks isolated, surrounded by glittering people who won't go near her. It's humiliating. For someone who once craved validation through those appearances, the cold shoulder has become her harshest punishment. The deeper issue? She has nothing left to leverage. Before Harry, she was a modestly known actress. The Duchess title transformed her into a global figure. But that power came from the monarchy, not her own accomplishments. And by severing ties and attacking the royals publicly, she destroyed the only currency that gave her value in Hollywood. Now she's just another personality trying to crack into an oversaturated lifestyle market, going up against rivals with more charm, credibility, and cultural pull. And it shows in her circle. Once she brushed shoulders with the Beckhams, the Clooneys, Hollywood's creme de la creme, now she gravitates toward controversial names like Chrissy Teigen. That's not a power move, it's proof of a shrinking Rolodex. Even the Kardashians, who thrive on scandal, have kept their distance. And if the Kardashians, literal queens of drama, won't touch you, that's devastating. Netflix insiders meanwhile complain about her demanding superstar treatment while delivering weak numbers. They describe her as rigid, paranoid, and unwilling to adapt. For an industry built on flexibility and reinvention, that's career suicide. And it's not just business partners, it's friends too. Jessica Mulroney, once fiercely loyal, was dropped. Millie McIntosh, another early supporter, was discarded. Patterns don't lie, and Hollywood noticed. If Meghan could betray loyal friends that easily, what chance did anyone else have? Here's the saddest part. In Hollywood, small slip-ups can be forgiven. People forget minor scandals quickly, but burning bridges while clinging to self-importance, that sticks. Meghan can't undo her public attacks on the royal family. She can't revive the magic of that dazzling wedding guest list. The royals have moved on, secure, admired, embraced globally. Meghan, meanwhile, stands outside, spinning theories of sabotage, and the image is stark. Hollywood has shut the door. The cruelest thing about Hollywood isn't the tabloids, it isn't even the betrayals. It's the silence. When your name stops opening doors, when people stop returning calls, when photo ops dry up, you're left staring at yourself in the mirror. And for Meghan, that silence has been deafening. Insiders whisper that Meghan is constantly rewatching old interviews, rereading old press clippings, almost as if she's trying to convince herself that she's still that person. The glamorous Duchess who turned heads at the royal wedding. The star who believed she could blend royalty and Hollywood into one unstoppable empire. But those days are gone. Hollywood doesn't see her as a glamorous disruptor anymore. They see her as a liability. And what's worse, Meghan knows it. That's why she keeps pointing fingers at conspiracies. Because admitting the truth that her own choices pushed people away would be too devastating. Let's be real. The Netflix deal was supposed to be Meghan's redemption arc, an $87 million chance to show she could deliver, to prove she wasn't just a title with no substance. But what happened? Underwhelming viewership, projects that fizzled after their launch week, boardroom whispers labeling her high maintenance and low yield. And here's the gossip nobody outside those rooms was supposed to hear. Meghan reportedly demanded superstar-level promotions, the kind Netflix reserves for proven A-list juggernauts. But the return? A flop. No buzz, no organic traction. Executives were baffled. One even described her as the most frustrating talent we've ever worked with. Instead of adapting, Meghan doubled down on her paranoia. She reportedly ranted that Taylor Swift's engagement was timed to overshadow her launch. To outsiders, it sounded absurd, laughable even. But in Hollywood, that kind of talk is career suicide. Nobody wants to work with someone who sees enemies behind every spotlight. And then there's the friend drama. Meghan's personal relationships became just as toxic as her professional ones. Remember Jessica Mulroney? Once her ride or die, her fiercest defender? Gone. Meghan cut her off the moment things got inconvenient. Millie McIntosh? Discarded. Victoria Beckham, publicly accused of betrayal. George and Amal Clooney, exposed as surface-level wedding guests. See the pattern? Every ally turned into collateral damage, and Hollywood noticed. If Meghan could betray old friends, what chance did new ones have? Suddenly, nobody wanted to be next in line for her suspicion. It didn't help that Meghan allegedly started surrounding herself with controversial figures. Chrissy Teigen popping up wasn't proof of star power. It was proof that Meghan's Rolodex had shrunk to whoever was desperate enough to be seen with her. And the Kardashians keeping their distance? Brutal. If the Kardashians, who thrive on scandal, won't touch you, the message is crystal clear. But nothing, and I mean nothing, hit Meghan harder than Dolly Parton's rejection. Dolly is beloved. She's known for kindness, generosity, lifting other women up. She is the kind of legend who rarely says no. So when Meghan reached out and Dolly refused to collaborate, that sent shockwaves louder than any headline. Industry chatter says Meghan tried to spin it into yet another royal conspiracy, whispering that Kate Middleton personally influenced Dolly. But Hollywood rolled their eyes. Dragging Dolly Parton into royal paranoia? That was Meghan's final nail in the coffin. If even Dolly says no, you're finished. From that moment, Meghan wasn't just difficult, she was radioactive. The proof plays out in real time at events. Paparazzi photos show it all. Celebrities shifting away from Meghan to avoid being in the same frame. Groups subtly rearranging when she approaches. Guest lists edited at the last minute to avoid overlap. And the saddest shots? Meghan, isolated in glittering rooms, surrounded by Hollywood's brightest stars who pretend she isn't even there. It's the kind of silent rejection that cuts deeper than any headline. For someone who once measured success by how many flashbulbs followed her, this cold avoidance is her biggest humiliation yet. Here's the brutal truth. Meghan Markle dreamed of being a bridge, a glamorous connector between royalty and Hollywood. Instead, she's become a lesson, a living, breathing warning sign. Agents now whisper her name as a do not case study. Do not betray trust. Do not confuse access for influence. Do not burn bridges and cling to ego. Hollywood moves on quickly, but it also remembers Meghan's fall wasn't just fast, it was complete. And now, she's stuck in a narrative she can't rewrite. The royals have moved forward stronger than ever, embraced by global celebrities. Meghan, meanwhile, is left spinning theories about sabotage while her once golden opportunities vanish. And maybe the cruelest irony of all, the world she once longed to belong to, Hollywood's inner circle, now sees her as untouchable.